Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are going to focus on the topic of proxy, which is covered under Section 105 of the Companies Act 2013. This is a very important topic from the examination point of view, as there can be case studies which can be asked upon this topic. Now, proxy means, in simple words, any person who is appointed by a person entitled to attend a meeting to attend on his behalf. So any person appointed to attend the meeting on somebody else's behalf is a person who is known as proxy. Okay. Now the provisions are governed under section 105. Now who can appoint a proxy is the very first topic under section 105. So any member who is entitled to attend and vote in a meeting can appoint a proxy. So any member who is entitled to attend and vote in a meeting, attend and vote both in a meeting, can appoint a proxy. So he is entitled to appoint a proxy. Now any person has a proxy, any person. That means this person whom we are appointing as proxy may not be a member of the company. May not be a member of the company. As his proxy to attend and vote on his behalf in the meeting. So a member, say A is a member of the company, he is an equity shareholder, so he is entitled to attend and vote in the meeting. A then can appoint Mr. B as his proxy. Now Mr. B may be a member of the company or may not be a member of the company. May not be a member of the company because he may be any person. He may be any person. Okay. Now, in case Mr. A is a preference shareholder who has been given a notice to attend the meeting, can he appoint a proxy? If the preference shareholder is not entitled to vote, then he cannot appoint a proxy. He cannot appoint a proxy. So, any member who is entitled to attend and vote in a meeting can appoint a proxy. This is your point number one. Second point is any person who is appointed as a proxy, he can be a proxy for how many members? For how many members? That is, if say B was appointed as a proxy for A, he can be a member of a maximum of 50 members. Maximum of 50 members. So a person can act as a proxy on behalf of not exceeding 50 members. Not exceeding 50 members. And holding in aggregate. There is one more condition. There are two conditions over here. Maximum 50 members, and the second condition is holding aggregate holding in aggregate shall not be more than 10%. Shall not be more than 10%. That means you can have maximum 50 members, and such members that you are a proxy of, their total holding in aggregate cannot exceed 10%, which means maximum 50 members and maximum holding of such members can be of not more than 10%. Okay, so in case Mr. A, in this particular example, Mr. A is appointed Mr. B as a proxy, and Mr. A is holding, say, greater than 10%, greater than 10% of holding of the company. In that case, B can be a proxy only for Mr. A and no other persons. And no other persons. So, a single member holding more than 10%, single member holding more than 10% total share capital can appoint one proxy, and such proxy shall not act as proxy of any other member. So in this case, B can act as proxy of only A because A is holding more than 10% and B cannot act as proxy for any other member. I hope this three concepts that we have done so far is very clear to you. First concept, every member entitled to attend and vote the meeting is entitled to appoint any person. Okay. to attend and vote on his behalf. That's point number one. Point number two, concept number two was a person can act as proxy for a maximum of 50 members, and such members shall be holding not more than 10% of the share capital of the company. Okay, share capital with voting rights of the company. Third point was, if a single member is holding more than 10% of total share capital, then he can appoint a proxy, but such proxy shall not be acting as proxy for any other member other than the single member. Okay, so this first concept, second concept is clear to everybody, I hope so. Now the procedure for appointment of proxy. What is the procedure? See, for every meeting, especially a general meeting, one of the requisites was notice has to be given to the shareholders or any person who is entitled to attend the meeting. This notice shall provide a statement that such member is entitled to appoint proxy or proxies to attend and vote on his behalf. So the notice calling the meeting for a company having share capital or in which articles allow shall provide a statement that such member is entitled to appoint a proxy or proxies to attend and vote on his behalf. This is given under section 105 subsection 2. Now along with the notice, the statement will be going, and with the statement the form for proxy should also be annexed. So in case of a meeting, notice, first thing is notice will go plus statement plus form. All these three things will be accompanied together when it is sent to the member who is entitled to attend the meeting. So the proxy form will be in MGT 11. Form will be in MGT 11. We have to remember this MGT 11. This may come for MCQ. Okay. Now, once the notice is sent along with MGT 11, the MGT, if a member wants to appoint a proxy, the member may appoint a proxy by filling up MGT 11 and filing it or depositing it with the company's registered office before 48 hours of the meeting. And whatever is received before 48 hours of the meeting will be held valid. And if anything is received after 48 hours, that is less than 48 hours from the meeting, that will be said to be invalid. Okay. Now remember a couple of points over here. One thing is that any person can be appointed as a proxy, but a minor cannot be appointed as a proxy. Okay, minor cannot be appointed as a proxy. I will explain it more in the coming slides, but just to give a reference over here. Second point is that whenever a proxy form is filed, more than one proxy forms can be filed by the member. That is, the member may submit more than one proxy forms. The last proxy form which is received, again 48 hours before the meeting, will be valid. The rest of them will be invalid. So this was the provisions of section 105. Now in case any member wants to inspect the proxy forms, in terms of he wants to see how many or whosoever member has appointed a proxy, for that also provision is made under section 105, which says that such person who wants to inspect shall give an application or a notice in writing at least 3 days before the meeting. So such an application once made, then the inspection of proxies to such applicants can be given during the meeting and 24 hours before the commencement of the meeting. Which means if the meeting is on, so this point, 24 hours before the meeting and during the meeting, this will be the period when the inspection can be allowed. During the meeting means till the conclusion of the meeting. So notice has to be given 3 days before, and inspection can be done 24 hours before the meeting till the conclusion of the meeting. Okay, so inspection should be given only during business hours or meeting hours. Okay, lastly, for refusal of inspection, if there is a refusal of inspection by the company to the members during business hour, the company and every officer in default shall be punishable with fine up to 10,000 rupees and rupees 1,000 per day where there is contravention in continuing default. That is, continuous default is there and the company is not allowing. Then 1,000 rupees per day will be the additional fine. So initial fine will be 10,000 rupees. Okay, over here this is important. This is important from examination point of view, and this is important. Okay, the first 3 points are very important. What does this first 3 points say? Summary, fast, at least 3 days notice before the meeting by the applicant. Once the application is received, then inspection can be allowed by the company at least 24 hours before the commencement of the meeting. That is, in the last 24 hours before the meeting and during the meeting. Okay, and such inspection shall be allowed during business hours. Okay, so this was section 105. Similarly, there are many other provisions or many other points that we have to understand. First, proxy may be any person, need not be a member of the company. Okay, I have discussed this. Proxy deposited 48 hours before the meeting is only valid. I have discussed this also. In case of multiple proxies deposited by the member, the last one deposited before the 48 hours of the meeting will be considered as valid. So say Mr. A had deposited B as proxy, say 55 hours before the meeting. Okay, then he also submitted C as proxy 50 hours before the meeting, and then he deposited D as proxy 40 hours before the meeting. Now which one is valid? B is within the prescribed time limit, but after that C's proxy was filed and that was 50 hours before the meeting, which is also valid. Hence the latest one will be valid. And in this case, D's proxy was also filed after C's proxy, but that was not within the prescribed time limit because it was 40 hours before the meeting, and what is the requirement? 48 hours before the meeting. Hence, D's proxy and B's proxy will be rejected, and only C will be the proxy for the member, that is A. Okay, so remember this thing. This is very, very important from examination point of view. Such kind of scenarios will be created in the case studies. Next, proxy may be revoked. Proxy may be revoked by the member at any time before the voting is done by the proxy on behalf of the member. So member, say A had deposited B as proxy within the prescribed time limit. Okay, now during the meeting B has attended the meeting, but during the meeting A arrives in the meeting, and as soon as he arrives, if B has not yet voted, then A can revoke the proxy of B. But if B has voted, see, B was appointed on behalf of A for the job of voting, and once the voting is completed, the job of B of being an proxy will be completed, and once it is completed, you cannot revoke the proxy. So before voting, even though B has attended the meeting, but before the voting, if A wants to revoke B, he can revoke B. But once B has voted and A has also come to the meeting, and A then says that no, please cancel B's voting. I am personally over here and I would vote. It will be not possible because B has already voted on behalf of A, which will be considered as a valid vote. I hope you have understood this point. Again, this is an important point. Again, case study scenarios may be built on it. Proxy is not allowed to speak. Remember this one thing: proxy is not allowed to speak or participate, but only allowed to vote on behalf of the member who appointed him. Since he is not a member and he might not be a person well equipped to discuss in the meeting, hence proxy is by law not allowed to speak or participate in the meeting. He is allowed to only vote on behalf of the member who has appointed him. Okay, I hope this point is also clear to you. Next point, see, if a proxy B has been appointed by member A and member C, member A has instructed B to vote in favor of the resolution, and member C has instructed to vote in against of the resolution. Then in that case, B will execute his rights by whatever instructions is given by the person who has appointed him. So for A, he will vote in favor, and for C, he will vote against as per the instructions. So a proxy can vote differently for each of the members separately which have appointed him. Okay, so I hope this point is also clear. Next, a proxy and the member who has appointed a proxy, their relationship will be the same as the relationship between principal and agent under agency contract. Under agency contract, if you have seen Contract Act, there is an agency contract which is an important topic, in which there are two parties. One is principal and the other is agent. So in this case, the principal will be the member and the agent will be the proxy. Okay, and as per the agency contract principles, the agent is bound to act on the instructions of the principal. So hence in this case also, the proxy is bound to vote or act only as per the instructions given by the member. Okay, so this is also an important point. Next, a proxy cannot exercise his vote on behalf of member in voting by show of hands. Now in the last lecture, I had explained it to you that the first method of voting would be show of hands. And after show of hands, if anybody has objection, then there may be voting by poll. So the provision of section 105 restricts the voting power of proxy by giving that a proxy cannot vote. A proxy cannot vote in the method of show of hands. He can only vote in case there is a poll. In case there is a poll. So show of hands he cannot vote, only in polling he can vote. Okay, so remember this point also. But a proxy may demand for a poll. He cannot vote in show of hands. He may demand for a poll on behalf of the member. Okay. Next, proxy is not counted for the calculation of quorum. This is extremely important point. This point is related to the quorum topic also. There might be a case study which might come in the exam for the topic of quorum, in which they will give you the number of members, number of persons attending the meeting, and there might also be a point of number of proxies who are attending the meeting, and they will ask you whether the quorum is sufficient or not for the meeting to be valid. In that particular case study, you have to be very careful and remove proxies from the calculation of quorum. So proxy is not counted for the calculation of quorum. So remove proxies from the calculation of quorum and then come upon the actual number of persons who are attending the meeting as per the quorum provisions. So quorum should include only members personally present and not by proxy. Can a minor be appointed by a proxy? As a proxy, this we have already discussed. No, minor cannot be appointed. Next, can a member with arrears in call money? This is also an important point. If any member has arrears in call money, can he appoint a proxy? See, we have seen that a member can appoint any person as a proxy, but who is entitled to attend the meeting and vote in the meeting? A member who has arrears in call money, he is not entitled to vote in the meeting. He may attend the meeting, but he is not entitled to vote in the meeting. When a member with arrears in call money is not entitled to vote in the meeting, then he is also not entitled to appoint a proxy. He is also not entitled to appoint a proxy. Okay, I hope this point is also clear. So we have covered a lot of additional points over here, which these are all additional points that we have discussed are normally such points which do come in the case studies. So now the last point is, in case there is an contravention to the provisions given under section 105. In that case, every officer who is in default of the company shall be liable to penalty of 5,000 rupees. Liable to penalty of 5,000 rupees. Also, if the company, when they are sending a notice to the members who are entitled to attend the meeting and vote in the meeting, if the company or any officer of the company issues an invitation or willfully authorizes or permits their issue of the invitation in which they are soliciting any proxy or any person to be appointed as a proxy, in that case, such officer of the company who knowingly issues the invitations or willfully authorizes or permits their issue of the invitation shall be punishable with a fine which shall extend to 1 lakh rupees. So the notice shall not solicit any person or person's name as proxy. It shall only state that the member is entitled to appoint a proxy, but you will not push any particular or specified person's name as a proxy. But if the company does that in the invitation, then there will be a fine of rupees 1 lakh rupees for every officer of the company who is in default. Okay, so this was the topic of proxy under section 105. I hope you have understood everything, because I have tried to cover most of the things in very less amount of time. If it is useful for you, please do like, share the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed to the channel. Thanks a lot.